Welcome to Western Water Weekly, your source of plain-spoken news highlights from the Colorado River Basin states.
Let's start with the Colorado River. New forecasts show that only about 2.3 million acre-feet of water may flow into Lake Powell this spring. That's roughly one-third of normal. To put that in perspective, this could be one of the lowest inflow years in more than 60 years. And it gets worse. Snowpack, the lifeblood of the Colorado River, is sitting at about half of normal in key areas. Some regions are even lower. Why? Because this winter was too warm. Instead of snow slowly building up in the mountains, a lot of it fell as rain or melted early. And here's the problem with that. Rain runs off quickly. Snow acts like a savings account. This year, we didn't make many deposits. Downstream, Lake Mead is already about 34% full, and projections now show it dropping even further than expected. Meanwhile, scientists estimate the Colorado River carries about 20% less water today than it did just a couple decades ago. So you've got less water, more demand, and no agreement yet on how to manage it. Complicating things is the insanely hot weather being experienced this month in the western states. Now, while negotiations about managing the Colorado River are stuck, the federal government is still spending. This week, the Department of the Interior announced $889 million for water infrastructure projects across the West. And honestly, some of this is long overdue. We're talking about systems that are 50, 80, even over 100 years old. In Utah, a 110-year-old canal is being replaced with a closed pipeline, reducing water loss and improving safety. In Wyoming, irrigation tunnels are getting major repairs to prevent failures. And in California, where land is literally sinking from groundwater overuse, hundreds of millions are going toward fixing major canals. Because here's the thing. It doesn't matter how much water you have if your system leaks, cracks, or collapses before it gets where it needs to go. And speaking of cracks, the Bureau of Reclamation launched a nationwide competition this week called Crack the Case. Yes, that's the actual name. And honestly, it sounds like a Netflix series. But it's serious. They're offering up to $400,000 to anyone who can figure out how to detect hidden cracks inside large earthen dams. Because some of these cracks are invisible, buried deep underground, and can slowly lead to internal erosion, which, historically, has been one of the leading causes of dam failures. So this is one of those quiet but critical problems. You don't see it until you really, really see it. Now, let's shift to something a little more futuristic, in a good way. Utah just launched a project called Wings Over Weber. And yes, it involves planes flying over mountains, scanning snow. Using technology originally developed with NASA, these aircraft measure snow depth and how much water is actually stored in that snow. Why does that matter? Because better snow data means better forecasts, and better forecasts means smarter decisions about reservoir releases, flood control, and drought planning. In a system where timing is everything, this kind of data can be a game changer. Meanwhile, California released a major groundwater report this week, and it tells a mixed story. On the positive side, more than 1,500 projects are now working to recharge groundwater and protect supplies. Millions of acre-feet of water have been pushed back underground in recent years. That's real progress. But the state is still recovering from its driest 3-year period on record, from 2020 to 2022. During that time, hundreds of wells went dry. Some communities are still struggling. And in some areas, the land is literally sinking. That sinking, called land subsidence, can damage canals, roads, and infrastructure. And here's the bigger picture. Groundwater supplies up to 60% of California's water during drought years. So when groundwater struggles, everything struggles. All right, let's close with the drought report, because this ties everything together. The country is split right now. The Midwest and Northeast are seeing relief from rain. But the West? It's a different story. Across the Colorado River Basin, conditions are getting hotter, drier, and more volatile. Snowpack is especially concerning. In parts of southern Colorado and northern New Mexico, some areas have already lost most or all of their snowpack for the season. Arizona and Nevada are also seeing worsening drought conditions, with low stream flows and increasing evaporation. And forecasts suggest this trend could continue through the rest of March. Which brings us right back to where we started. Less snow, less runoff, more pressure on a system that's already stretched thin. So this week, the story is pretty clear. We've got innovation, investment, and some real progress in places. But we've also got declining water supplies, rising temperatures, and no agreement yet on how to manage the most important river in the West. And that tension, that gap between progress and pressure, is really the story of water in 2026. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
That wraps up this week's Western Water Weekly. All of the stories we covered are reported in full at western-water.com. Be sure to check back next Sunday for our next roundup. Thanks for watching.